gyro. So that could also be one of the reasons why they went for the Enigma early.
PL Enigma. I really like this lineup because it's a lineup that can fight really early as well. It's not so hard for them to fight early. And it's like extremely scary to face in late game. It puts a lot of pressure on LGD, I feel like.
Yeah, and LGD once more, they've been showing this so many times. They pick their 3 cores right away from the first 3 picks. Generally, you don't see much teams or even teams that actually want to do the draft this way.
I think they will do a support silencer on LGD. Honestly, looking at the draft, there's Grave, there's Black Hole, there are some really important spells to cancel, and they have Storm Initiation. This just screams to me they want to have Silencer to silence when the clock hooks and when Storm comes in. This, I like Evil Genius's PL pickup, but I don't know about the entire lineup so far.
Yeah, but then again, LGD was the team that ignores Queen of Pain because of the fact that we were discussing why, and we came up with the reason because of the cooldown. QOP's ultimate has very long cooldown. And going back to the Silencer pick, it sort of has the same weakness of the Queen of Pain.
It does, but it's still every 130 seconds you can initiate with no return from the enemy. I think it's a strong weapon.
Yeah, I feel like you have to have something that breaks the Enigma BKB Black Hole as well as the Lina combo.
I mean, they have the hook so far, but
that's... But back in the days, I remember people were picking Enigma versus Xiao because he's one of those players, you rarely see LGD go offensive trialing, rarely. They always want to get farm on Siler, get levels on the support. They are very stable and they're never pressured. The LGD is never the team that's like, oh, they're farming Enigma and PL, we gotta go there, we're gonna, you know, shut them down because else we're in trouble. So here he picks Shaker, and you know, at first I was like, it could be Enigma offlane, and you were thinking the same, Winter, probably because you're like, it's scary to play Enigma PL, you know, it's very greedy. But look at it, Xiao, he just doesn't care. He goes for Shaker, and it's very unlikely they go offensive with Shaker Gyro. So I feel that EG now, like, they're gonna feel very comfortable. They're gonna be able to free farm Enigma, free farm PL, Lina mid versus Storm. That's a pretty decent matchup, I'd say. And I would assume they would pick an offlaner right now.
Yeah, I have to agree because the situation has changed right now. It feels like LGD has no intention of maybe laning aggressively. So EG has a very good chance of getting away with some greedy pick.
And Darkseer is available. I don't know if it's a good hero. I feel like it can be a very decent hero for EG. When you run with, like, when you have PL, Darkseer PL, I think it's a great combo to have early on. Like, it's very aggressive, and Enigma Darkseer, it's so hard to fight in.
I think they need better disable. Like, I can see the idea of Darkseer, but against the Storm, if you don't have more disables right now, you're going to struggle. The Tusk is going to work nicely. It does have 2 different disables at least.
I mean, at this point, right, they can always swap their draft around. They can still run jungle Enigma, or they can run offlane Enigma.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's actually quite smart.
I think EG's lineup is just a lot stronger. The laning phase, like, and as you said, LGD just has nothing to really punish it. They can just farm their Yules, farm the mech and BKB pretty much in peace.
There it goes. I still like the lineup a lot. I think they have a great draft.
Perfect call from the boys here at the desk. Time now to rejoin our commentary team for day 6 of 6. The lower bracket final is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. LD and Blitz, it's yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome! We are live here on the final day of the International 2015 Blitz. It's a $10 million day of Dota 2. It promises to be amazing.
Yeah, and this is one of the best finals that you could possibly get. EG, home crowd behind them, having to go back and battle through LGD Gaming, who have a returning champion in Xiao Wei.
Xiao Wei, a great storyline there. The last man left standing in the tournament just got done taking out Hao to conclude the action yesterday. The only player with a chance to repeat. And on the side of EG, some amazing stories here as well. Sumail, the wonder kid who came out of nowhere and finds himself on the big stage together with Maybe, who comes in as a relatively unknown player. These two have been so impressive coming into the event, and I mean, it goes on even deeper till TI4, where EG, they fell just short, finished 3rd place in the same position last year, but this time they want to go the distance. The boys in blue wishing good luck to LGD, and we get underway. Welcome to the final day of TI5.
And Sumail, he's going to be playing Alina mid against that Maybe Storm Spirit. We've seen it so many times too. Maybe is one of the best Storms in the scene, and there aren't a lot of natural counters to it on the other side of EG, and so it's going to take a lot out of Sumail. He has to shut him down in the laning phase as hard as he can, but it's going to be difficult because it's a Storm Spirit on the Radiant side. It's incredibly hard to stop.
And he's got a lot of protection here as well. And I think the big combo that we want to keep an eye on is that offensive potential of a global into a Storm initiation, which EG really don't have great counterplay for early on, as LGD are going to go ahead and scout out the Roshan pit nice and early here. Perhaps having some flashbacks to last TI when Cloud9 went for this against Vici Gaming, but of course something you always want to keep in mind when you see an Enigma won't actually be happening. Do want to take a quick look at the wards here for EG. They planted one down to block the poke camp. They are, in fact, running the jungle Enigma, and it is the flexibility of the pick that they don't have to offlane him. It seemed like LGD kind of expected it at first. So they will be going a little bit more greedy here in the laning stage blitz.
Yeah, I think the Enigma as a support is fine, even with the silencer in the game, because it is just a silencer support versus a silencer Enigma. And I don't think EG's strategy is just predicated on the black hole. I think that if you're going to pick a third especially, it's more for the laning phase, what you can provide after the 4-minute mark when you can go around roaming and pushing down towers with your Eidolons.
And that's a good point because they don't really have a whole lot of push early on outside of that. PL takes a little while to come online. Yeah, sure, you do have the Dazzle heals. We're going to see Yao actually fissure block the bottom lane just to pull the wave back. Kind of an interesting counter here to the off-lane Tusk. So we'll keep the creeps back a little bit more. They're still going to meet, and looks like the lane will push in the end anyway. But kind of a cute tactic attempted there by Yao. Meanwhile, top lane, Xiao8, he's actually the man in the off lane. He'll be playing the Clockwork, so they swap up the roles here. It's almost always been Yao off, but instead this time it is Xiao8, and his first D-ward attempt, it's a miss. Let's see if he's going to find it with a potential second sentry. MMY is going to come in, look to assist here, but that second creep spawn will be denied. And meanwhile, AUI not contested at all, and this is something worth talking about, Blitz. Generally, when we saw Enigma picks in the past, teams would try to shut his jungle down early, but it's not happening here.
Yeah, he's going to have a really good time, and AUI, one of the fastest junglers in the game, playing that Enigma, but I do want to talk about Xiao8 playing this off-lane Clockwork. This isn't something we normally see out of him. It's usually him playing the support role. We saw him beast with that Earthshaker the entire time, but I think it's just him being a little bit more comfortable with the hero. And Yao, he plays Earthshaker a ton, so this might just be more of a, okay, I feel more comfortable playing the Clockwork. You know how to deal with the Earthshaker even if you're under farm.
Yeah, Xiao8 is going to go in with the cogs here, burning a bit of PPD's mana. LGD were able to de-ward the camp on the second try, so they should have the creep spawning here in short order. And a 2-minute rune about to spawn. Look at our mid lane. It's maybe on the Storm versus Sumail on the Lina. And I mean, boy, oh boy, these two of the big stars coming into this match. So far, even in terms of CS, feels like Lita maybe has a slight edge in the matchup based on some of the games we've seen in the laning stage, but as you mentioned, it is a Radiant Storm, and already the jungle is being stacked up.
Yeah, and Yao rotates mid. They just have to help him out a little bit for this.
He's got the remnants. They're going to go for this. Sumail looks to turn with the Slave. He stuns Yao, and AUI's already rotated in. This is an unexpected move. Out comes the Salvin. First blood spilt by EG.
And that's so surprising because normally you'll see the Enigma go for the Midnight Pulse, but AUI, with that haste rune, decides to switch up his build at level 2, going for the Malefice just to help Sumail out a little bit more. And that's significant because now Sumail's definitely going to hit 6 before the Storm, and it means that maybe he has to rotate the jungle sooner than he would like.
It's the build we saw from Zai, especially back when he was on EG, the Midnight Pulse build that you mentioned, just pure efficiency off in the jungle, but it's a very unexpected rotation. AUI there in time. If he wasn't, they might have just been able to run down the Lina with the Remnant spam and the overload damage, but instead, Sumail off to a hot start now, 15-5. AUI, the one who actually gets the first blood. What do you expect out of the jungle Enigma this game? Is this an early mech rush that we'll see coming from AUI? Do we see a lot of ganks? Does he just focus on farming? Traditionally, AUI is more of a greedy jungler type of player.
Yeah, but oftentimes what you'll see him do is pick up a smoke when he's about to hit 6, and he's either going to use the first black hole of the game to gank that mid lane just to get Sumail even a better start, or he's going to head to that top lane, gank the off laner, and push down the tower, but he usually just plays it by ear.
Well, in terms of the cores here, and I guess it's fair to call the Enigma core at this point with AUI on it and the great start he's had. They are farming exceptionally well here on EG, topping the CS charts pretty much at every position, aside from the silencer. He's getting a little bit more than the backup supports on EG, but yeah, it's kind of a slow and patient start here. We will see a Rocket Flare looking to scout out the Enigma. Xiao8 trying to get a bit of vision on him, but they have no wards in the enemy jungle. They will converge on the top rune, wanting to secure this for maybe. There's vision for Sumail. He can head towards the bottom rune where currently there's no contest. And in fact, it's the regen going bottom. That's something Sumail will happily snap up.
And part of the issue with LGD's line,
Well, the snipe, not so happily, not snapped up, but I guess it's time for the Bottle Crow.
Yeah, but part of the issue with LGD's lineup is because they had to pick the Silencer to counter the Enigma, their lanes are kind of bad at punishing. Like, this Gyrocopter is more or less by himself in this bottom lane because the Earthshaker doesn't want to just sit there and fissure for him. He wants to do things like stack the jungle, protect his mid laner, possibly set up for kills, and it's going to make it really hard for them to contest this Enigma, who, if he just wants to farm this entire time, what is the Silencer actually going to do against it?
And he also is quite a bit weaker against Phantom Lancer compared to, you know, even something like a Rubik with some good spells here to steal, which got banned out in the second phase of the draft. So it does mean Fear has a little more room to make plays as the game gets later, but still very early, and obviously you have the big team fight potential from Momoya, and he is getting his early farm. Already hits level 4. The pulls have just been going freely, and Yao's also stacking up the jungle. This is almost enough that it feels like they can just stay on pace with the Enigma. For now, AUI's ahead, but that's before the stacks get cleared out. Already about to hit 6, and you mentioned the early smoke play from him. In fact, just the boots for now, but he's got the black hole online, and that's a threat that LGD will have to be ready for.
Yeah, AUI doesn't mind using the black hole at all in the early game just to pick up 1 kill. That's usually what you're going to look for, but what really matters is where he decides to go with this. Like you said, and we had mentioned, the Enigma is really hard to punish for LGD. Like, there's almost no heroes that LGD have that can enter the jungle, even if they decide to smoke gank, especially with Xiao only being level 3 right now in the off lane.
Yeah, he's not getting as much as Universe here. Universe 4.5, and again, imagine if this is, say a Rubik, or even something like a Shadow Demon to set up for Sylar on the Gyrocopter, but it's not. As Xiao 8 is going to contest PPD for these creeps to the north, gets the rocket off, actually steals pretty much the whole camp there. Nicely played by him. Meanwhile, Ancient's also being stacked. A lot of economy focus here coming out for LGD. They're going to grab 2 runes, a double damage top from AB Storm, MMY snatching up the bounty rune. This is a dangerous moment for EG, and so much of their next play is really just going to hinge on the Enigma. So far, hasn't made a move since that 2-minute gank or so.
I mean, LGD have the smart response here. Instead of just kind of forcing anything around the map, they're just stacking things passively because they realize they can't really force things with their lineup. So it's better to just play the economy game and play for the mid game where you can get a big boost, where you get a faster BKB on some of your cores, or maybe can have a better start. Because right now, you're not really going to have a lot of ganks, but I think EG at the same time are satisfied with the pace of this game, just because AUI is free farming, and at the same time, this Fear Phantom Lancer is going to get huge, and Phantom Lancer is a hero that typically doesn't have the best laning phase.
Well, he's not really being contested at all. PPD has done a great job of keeping the lane back. Fear is at 49 CS, about 5 ahead of the Gyrocopter, who normally excels in this stage of the game. Sylar also doing pretty well in his own right. And the other thing for EG Blitz is there is that Roche potential. Already the chainmail and the headdress out for AUI. Early mech is going to be the pickup. Maybe they don't go for it naked, but if they can find that first smoke gank, rotate onto a tower, take it out, they'll have the map control they're looking for.
Yeah, they're just going to do the Ancients right now and get PPD a few more levels. I think Fear feels pretty comfortable in this top lane. He's got a level of Doppelganger up already. His farm is perfectly fine, and the Clockwork isn't going to be able to contest him early. But Xiao 8, off the back of this, should get a few more levels in farm, which he previously didn't have.
He's a little nervous right now, though. He's kind of hanging back at the tower. He'll throw the rocket. He sees the PL farming it. Might be a cue for him to get aggressive, but he's still nervous about that potential rotation. And I imagine the threat of the Enigma gank is foremost on LGD's minds, to the point where it's almost just as good that they're not ganking, because they're still in LGD's head about it. The EG squad is.
All they have to really do is continue to keep up the farm, and LGD are naturally going to play back, but LGD, they're still doing the smart thing right now, stacking up the Ancients, eventually for the Gyrocopter. The Storm has caught up when it comes to net worth. He's meant to be behind Alina, and so this 300 net worth disadvantage that we see early game is perfectly fine.
It is feeling like it's very reminiscent of TI4, where it felt like the teams that got away with the Enigma, I mean, EG really does come to mind as one of the teams that did it the most successfully at that event. They were just so far ahead after the laning stage got underway, and already we see EG having not taken a tower yet. They're up to about a 2K net worth lead, a 3,000 experience lead, as LGD look to change it. It's something we've seen a lot from Aggressive on his Gyrocopter. Now LGD taking a page out of CDEX book. They move up the river, smoked, and undercover.
Oh, they want Fear at least.
They want the opening. They may find Universe, but the rocket coming out, he starts to paint it, and now the smoke is revealed. EG haven't seen this yet. A Universe walks right into the call out, a huge amount of focus to bring down the offlane Tusk. Forces out the TP as well from Sumail, but too late to really mount a response. He'll actually walk back, worried that they might come for him next. EG are going to be slowed down by that.
And LGD look like they want to take this top tower down because you can't just gank an off-lane universe. It's not going to do enough because you've committed your hard carry at the same time. Sylar's just going to TP back bottom because he realizes there's no more potential for a gank, but it is only Universe who gets killed there, and that's not too bad for them.
This is going to be a fast mech timing for AUI 2000. Already only 100 gold away. We're looking at a 10-minute 4-position Enigma mech. And he's pretty much there with every core in the game. Only 120 gold behind the enemy Storm and even a little bit more behind his own other cores. So with the mech coming out, feels like there's some potential here for EG to get aggressive.
Yeah, they want this bottom tower down. They've even committed Fear over,
and they're smoking for it.
Xiaowei, he doesn't have the mana for this, even if he were to TP.
Maybe could get caught out here. There is a global silence available, though. Who's going to get the reactions? Bottle charges coming out. Vision is here. They get down an observer ward. EG committing a smoke just for that ward, and we're scouted out on the retreats. So maybe LGD will deward this, but that's now it's EG who also have something extra to worry about, Blitz. It's the global. We've seen this. I think Q really comes to mind with some sensational silencer play when C-Deck ran it twice in the event. But if you don't use the global wisely or you get caught out, then this can quickly become a useless hero. So much of this game is going to come down to MMY's timing and reactions.
He's not actually going to get any farm. He's not one of those heroes that scale well into the late game with items. You might pick up something like a Force Staff, but largely your items are just going to be defensive. And when BKBs come online and the Lina gets an initiation item, you're quickly just going to get taken down before you can use the global, or you're going to be forced to use it incredibly inefficiently. And so you're completely right there. MMY, they have to use the global silence early, and it has to go really well for them too, because you can't justify the pick only for the Enigma at this phase of the game.
So what do you think the best way to use it is here? Do you save it to counterplay like an Enigma smoke gank? Do you try to go for an offensive play with maybe? Where do you see this global working best for LGD?
I think you just use it to play passive-aggressive. Like if EG decide to dive on you or do something overly aggressive, then you can just TP in with a lot of heroes, pop the global silence, and then maybe we'll feel incredibly comfortable going in. But at the same time, EG's got a lot of different items that can start to counter that. You see the mech finished on the Enigma. Sumail's about to pick up a Yule Scepter, and that's going to make things incredibly tough for them, too.
Well, our Storm Spirit maybe not going to go for the Orchid build. It is a Bloodstone on the way for him. Gets the point booster now. He's going to continue to juggle this regen rune as he looks for an opening, but they just got dewarded top. PPD was the man to do it. Maybe regen rune's worn off, but they're still going in. They will pull the Universe back. The global comes out. There's no grave save. Does he dive deeper? The mech's going to keep him alive, even though there's on. And now he's snowballs, looking for the turn. It's on 2. Universe with the Walrus punch, but the Kong will catch them and keep them away. And now the call out comes through. Sylar rains down the pain. EG trapped by a fissure. Where's the hole? He can't get it off. LGD, the first global, a brilliant success. Although Fear may take down Xiaowei here, Illusions will finish him off. Salvaging the fight, making it a 3-for-1, and they still have their black hole available. But Blitz, this tower about to fall. Normally that Dazzle Grave so strong, and you know the analysts talked a lot about it, but this silencer is multi-purpose.
I mean, PPD was trying to run forward, but he was just outside the range. He only has that single level of the shallow grave, so it's not as effective. And I think he just misjudged it by a little bit, and it cost him so much. And if Universe was able to survive there, maybe they can bait around it and get the black hole off, because he lived for so long with the help of the Enigma black hole and his own snowball. But I mean, LGD came full force, prepared to fight 5-on-5.
It almost felt like the mech was going to be the counter to the global silence there. He was very tanky, but fortunately does end up falling here. LGD grabbing an objective, and what was once a 3,000 gold lead early for EG has now swung about 4,000 the other way. Still a very even game overall. EG, haven't really seen them go for a big objective here yet. They got the ward down on their previous smoke. And they still have the black hole online. They know global's down for a little bit longer. Where do you reckon they're going to go, Blitz?
I mean, EG want to start forcing down towers. They know the global silence is on cooldown, so this does open up an opportunity for AUI to use the single or 2-man black hole, at least to start the fight. And they've got Sumail who has a Yule Scepter, but I mean, LGD, they're just playing passive right now because they can. They've got stacks up for maybe for the in the jungle. They've got the Gyrocopter who's actually farming them right now. He's got an Ancient stack ready for him at the same time. If this pace continues, then all LGD have to do is farm out the jungle, farm out the Ancients, and then they've got the global silence back up in 2 seconds.
Well, the man who is farming really well here for EG is Sumail. He's also picked up the Yule Scepter. He already has the level 2 ultimate at scarcely 14 minutes. That Laguna Blade is a lot of damage at this stage. You look at Yao, 853 health. The Laguna before reduction going to deal out 675. Just waiting for EG to make their first move, but now the global is cooled down and they go in onto Sumail. The global comes out again. Same old recipe. Yules will purge it. Is it going to give them time for the grave? The mech, the big save. Now the echo, not enough. Sumail kept alive. The black hole trying to turn this further, but maybe balls back in. He'll get the kill. He looks to run away, and he's got a haste turn, so he scurries to freedom. And Sylar comes from the south, and he finds Universe next. A 2 for 2. Global and black hole both expended, and maybe looking for more. Doppelganger back. Fear on the way out here. The sigil will cover the path of retreat, and in the end, LGD, well, they fight through the mech and the black hole, and what looked like a brilliant save from the Yules, and still make it an even fight.
Yeah, AUI expends the black hole there, catches Xiao 8 and holds LGD back, but LGD just have a little bit too much in the tank. Maybe is so farmed at this phase of the game right now. 15 minutes in, he almost has his Bloodstone completed, just 700 gold away or so, and I mean, Fear wanted to get the last hit on him, and that would have helped so much because he's gone for this Yasha build. He's really quick, and
so
the fights are there.
It's a different PL build, right? When we saw Aggressive play this, he normally goes into the Aquila, the drums, and then straight into a Diffusal Blade. So with this Yasha build, what's the objective? What's the kind of the difference in approach here?
I mean, you farm a lot quicker, but you just don't have the stats to back yourself up. Like, you notice that Fear just has to run away in the beginning of these fights, but
oh, maybe. He's been caught out bottom, nowhere to go. Sumail zaps him down, and that will slow the snowball. Very nice pick. Now looking for Xiao 8, he's going to find an additional stun. Where's the backup, though? Throwing out a Slave, but the Fissure to counter it. Sumail as he overextended. Snowball's coming to try and save him. He stays alive. They keep him healthy. PPD with the save, but now a follow-up grave is Sylar. Finishes off 3 almost, but not quite. Mech again. EG just keep on surviving. Fissure will cool down. It only connects on 1, just catching the Tusk. A little bit of a counterplay and the TP out. AUI makes it home safely. Dear Lord, I don't know how Sumail lived through that. This guy is a miracle maker, Blitz.
Every single time AUI is there with the mech, and sometimes it's not enough to save his teammates, but his positioning this entire game has been relatively flawless. The problem for them, though, is that EG still struggle to win these engagements right now, and I mean, Sylar just continues to pick up farm. He's 4-0-1. There's still an Ancient stack readily available for him, and this is still an LGD advantage game, but the Phantom Lancer now picks up the Boots of Travel, and you start to see Fear's focus is incredibly farm-oriented.
Well, speaking of farm, MMY, it looks like he wants to pick up a Midas here, so is going for a Silencer build that can scale more into the late game. He may get caught out here, he may be punished, but there's the counter initiation, maybe going in with the pull, jumps him back, the hook as well. Sumail completely caught out and didn't have the Yules to use defensively as he threw it down for the initial engagement. That is a global still online, and LGD look to push in. They will now have a Midas once this tower falls. EG, no blink on the Enigma. AUI going to rush a BKB, it looks like, which means no real ability to jump in here and try to hold this tower.
Yeah, but LGD, that's the weakness of the Lina going for the Yule Scepter first, is that when you commit the Yules to one of the support heroes, maybe he's just going to jump in every single time if he feels confident that his team's not behind him. And most of EG did show themselves in that bottom lane, and that alerted him to the fact that Sumail was most likely alone just looking for a pickoff, and that hurts a lot just because the Storm now has his Bloodstone.
Maybe with a very fast timing here, just needs to pick up that recipe. He'll do it now. And the Midas also coming online. LGD gearing up for a potentially fearsome mid game, and even into the late game. If it gets to that point, Blitz, where buybacks are very expensive, and you know, if you imagine this game going potentially an hour, Global Silence is just such a trump card to have at your disposal, especially with the farm.
Yeah, but at the same time, Fear, I mean, he just continues to farm away. 0-0-1, hasn't participated in too many fights, but this is a saving grace for EG right now, as he hasn't been contested, and there's not a whole lot that LGD can do to contest him, unless they blow the Global Silence.
LGD on a bit of a ramble here. They've smoked up Xiao 8, throwing out the initial rocket. Destination Roshan is what Xiao 8 cries out as the team moves through the Radiant jungles. AUI, he's just been parked at these Ancients. Feels like this has become his new home. Spent a lot of time farming these, giving the rest of the map to their other heroes on the team as maybe looks for the jump. They have the global ready, but they want to make sure they get a clean pick. EG a bit far back, and instead they point on towards mid, where Sumail is also hanging back. Nobody showing on the map. The bottom lane pushing in a bit. Mid is past the river, though. This isn't super obvious. Now a rocket and the hook. They're going to go on PPD here, trapping him out with the batteries on the follow-up pull, but he gets up the grave in time. PPD will hold himself alive. No counterplay from EG. They'll sacrifice their captain for the greater good. Another pick for LGD, and the Bloodstone charges. Let the farming for maybe commence. Echo, Yao gets caught out. Sumail, he finds one on the retreat out. Easy pick that was, frankly, unexpected.
They also used the global silence at the same time, so EG might feel incredibly good about this. I think the global and the Echo Slam were used just to kill that.
And they only get a support out of that.
Yeah, and so I think EG are going to feel really comfortable about this. They know that LGD have already expended most of their smokes, if not all of them, and they've got one left over, but EG...
This might be where they get aggressive blitz. They've got the Enigma BKB coming soon. Pressure mounts on the middle lane. The tower's going to drop. AUI looking for the last hit, and he'll get it. No hook shot available. No way to counterplay this. And now they move in. 3 heroes from EG going to rotate on the top. They're going to look to take 2 tier 1s off the back of just the death of an Earthshaker and a misused global silence, and it seems LGD will have to sacrifice a large swath of map control as a result. The rocket comes in, but there's just no sign of a defense. It looks like just a small mistake from Yao, but it's really going to put the hurt to LGD.
And Fear getting the last hit. His Phantom Lancer is starting to get incredibly farmed right now, and EG, I mean, they're a punishing lineup. That Enigma, this is what allows it. You
they
don't
want
really
3 towers.
Black hole. It's for the mech, and then you just continue to push with it.
They do Fisher to stall this one out, as the illusions will be slowly ramping up. In the front lines here, Mech gets popped. Everything coming online relatively soon for LGD, except for the global silence. And with that still down, EG feel emboldened. Now all tier 1s for LGD down. They're going to TP AUI down towards the bottom lane. And the way to Roche looks more and more promising for the boys in blue.
They don't have the medallion quite yet on PPD, and so that might delay them a little bit. But Fear, I mean, he's almost got a fully completed Diffusal Blade. He's got the Yasha and the Boots of Travel. EG are going to have a really sick timing where the Enigma finishes his BKB, Sumail's about to get his Aghanim Scepter, and Fear's about to get his Diffusal Blade. And with all of those items behind them, they might want to get aggressive, but LGD, they use up one of their last smokes.
They do have a ward here in the jungle. They saw Fear moving around earlier, but not quite sure exactly where he is, and the smoke is not broken just yet. They've only got one more smoke, and it's coming in a minute and a half. After that, LGD won't have a smoke for a long time, so they really do need to make this one count, Blitz. But they're not finding anything. EG are well aware. They're reading LGD perfectly, and they're just going to hang back in the base while they split push the top lane. It does allow LGD to converge on this tier 2 mid, though, and it looks like they're going to try to threaten this tower. Sylar with the BKB, getting very difficult to bring down on his own. No Aghanims as of yet on Sumail, so EG will just slow roll it. They may even sack this tower and just go for the split push. No defense coming yet.
They don't necessarily have to defend because they know that LGD have picked up their major items. The Bloodstone on Storm, Sylar picking up his BKB, but EG have some room to grow. They want the Aghanim Scepter minimum on Sumail before they get into this next fight. And the BKB is now completed on AUI, and now EG have actually hit a really nice timing for themselves.
It does open up the mid lane, though, as you see quite a few LGD heroes. Oh, they find the courier. A freebie for maybe. That was a bit unexpected for EG. Looked like they thought LGD would just back straight away after taking the tower mid, but some extra gold going to the Radiant squad.
This is really annoying because this is going to force Sumail back, and AUI actually uses TP at the same time, but EG, they've got the BKB on the Enigma. Now they've got pretty much all of their tier 2, tier 3 items.
And they've almost got the medallion you mentioned. He's got 850 gold. Oh, the Echo bottom lane. They made it go in Fear. Global coming up, but they need more lockdown to bring Fear down. He's got the Diffusal Blade. Hook is there. It's on to PPD. Only getting support for this, but they're going to commit heavily. Does he get off the defensive save? There's a snowball. Keeping him alive, but dragging him deep behind enemy lines. They'll drag him back a bit further. PPD totally caught out, but it buys time for the team. Coming in is Fear. Maybe kill the damn Dazzle. Finally, he'll bring him down, but it took them ages. Fear with another lance, maybe we'll dodge it. LGD committing a global, only getting a Dazzle. EG still finding pretty solid trades, and now with Black Hole and BKB online, they're going in. Look for AUI to turn this. Find Sylar, but he's BKB'd. He's not taking damage, and Fear's trapped pretty far back. Can they bring them down? Rocket Barrage doing the work they need. LGD turning this. Sumail waiting. He's got no Laguna left. He already chunked it out, and now can't really do the damage on his own. Trapped in the trees. Yao's gonna fall. Fear fights more. They're gonna get the Earthshaker 2, 4, dead, possibly 5. MMY on the run. No escape, no mercy. see, he'll die as well, and it's an ultra for the young Sumail.
Wow, and maybe even flies in, unable to really fight anything after that, and EG with the most dominant fight so far of this game. Sumail managing to get an ultra kill, and I mean, EG just have so much money after this fight right now, all of them topping 1,000 gold.
It's just taking so damn long to kill PPD. They get the snowball off. We've seen the mech saves. Then he graves himself, and by the time he dies, it's like, great, you've gotten a Dazzle, you've committed your Global, your Echo Slam, your Storm's Monopool, and then they just don't have the follow-up blitz.
That's a really bad sign right now for LGD, because that was largely a 2v5, 3v5 engagement for almost half of the fight or more, and LGD still weren't able to win it or bring anybody down right now, and you're just seeing the lack of damage on their cores.
Oh, AUI up to 1,200 gold here. We could see that Blake coming out next. He's going to get eyes on Maybe. Maybe doesn't want to go in, and he will go into the Orchid build. So let's talk a little bit about what LGD do from here, Blitz. They obviously lose a lot of momentum from that fight. The Storm is slowed down quite a bit as well. Down to 7 Bloodstone charges from the 9 he had. MMY, he has picked up a Perseverance, so it looks like he's going to go straight into the Refresher on the Silencer.
I think if you're LGD, you just have to take smart fights. You have to be more intelligent about how you initiate, because PPD right now with the Grave is doing a little bit too much. You either have to blow him up immediately. You use the Earthshaker Fissure, you commit the Storm to it, kill him because the Grave is just doing a little bit too much. Or you just look for the counter initiations yourself with that MMY Global.
They're balling in. They're going on Sumail. They get up the pole here. Hook's going to follow it up. Yules is available, and he'll throw it out. He's going to bounce off the cogs, though, as the Global comes out. Sumail dead off the bat. A better start. Xiaowei may be punished here by Fear. Brought low, but he makes it home. And they end a mega kill streak on the Lina. That's another Bloodstone charge, bringing Maybe back to dead even here at 8.
Yeah, and this is what they need right now. Sumail, they use a lot for it. I mean, they expended the Global Silence, but it's probably worth it just for the spree and to help your mid laner out a little bit more. Is Maybe really close to that level 16, but so is Sumail and EG. They've got the medallion completed on the Dazzle. This might just mean that they want to go for the Roshan, because they know that LGD aren't going to commit a fight without the Global Silence. So the smoke flies in. Fear can TP into this mid lane if he wants. He's got a fully completed Manta style now too, and once Sumail gets up, I think EG can just commit for the Roshan.
Dear Lord, he is farmed. And at the same time, Yao has gotten a Blink Dagger. So big initiation potential. They did not have it in the last fight. You mentioned instantly blowing up Dazzle. This may be a tool to do it, or just to catch someone out before the Grave comes into play. But EG are pinning out the bottom lane, and it's like you said, with the Global on cooldown, now is your time to head towards Roche. And fortunately for EG, there's a double damager in here. They actually smoke. Are they just going to blindly smoke into the pit? Do they look for a kill? We're about to find out. But with this DD, this should be a fairly straightforward Roche, as long as LGD don't come to contest.
Oh, the Rocket's been extended at bottom lane too, and this is so smart from EG. They're showing the Eidolons in this bottom lane so that LGD have no idea that this is happening. LGD is under the impression that EG are going to need the Eidolons just to be able to do it, but AUI tanks it really quickly. The Frozen Sigil slows this down so much, and Sumail picking up that ED, this is going to make this so quick, and I think this is going to go on Sumail.
Sumail will grab the Aegis. EG, another big objective for them. Golden experience, very close here. Basically a dead heat through 27 minutes. Lots of late game on both teams, but EG now with the extra tool that they can put to use, giving Sumail the freedom to get more aggressive, and also what will aid and fuel the aggression here, Blitz, is he's almost got the level 3 ult, and at which point you're looking at 950 damage. That's over half the Storm's health. It's about half the Gyro's, a little bit over too, and it's almost a one-shot on Yao's Earthshaker. 1,000, the clockwork of Xiaowei at around that 1,500 mark. MMY is actually going to live with about 10 HP if he gets the good.
I mean, at this point, you probably don't want to expend it on one of the supports unless they've used all of their abilities, but it does speak to how leveled and how farmed Sumail is at 28 minutes in the game. He's kept up in levels with the Storm Spirit, who's had better initiations than him most of this game, and I mean, that's the strength of Storm, but maybe he's going to finish that Orchid, and I think this is what's going to allow them to start winning these fights, because he can just go for PPD in the backline, silence them up, you throw down the Global at the same time, and then there's very little they can do to save PPD.
And they also don't have to commit the Global if it's like a hero alone. At that point, you can save the Global, just use the Orchid, and if it's someone like the Dazzle, he's got no way to save himself at that point.
MMY looks like he wants to build for the Refresher, and This Midas pickup is looking smarter and smarter by the second because there's no way he would have this amount of farm otherwise.
No, absolutely not. And it also gives him the levels, gives the global silence that extra duration. Of course, the mana cost ramps up rather dramatically here. Could become a problem for him. It's already 375 for the global. That's before the refresher usage, but I imagine we'll see him get something to aid with that soon. As EG make an aggressive movement into the Radiant jungle, they've got the whole team pretty much in the area, and they're going to get eyes on mid, where Sylar is waiting, but he's got to worry about this Aghanim Scepter ultimate to come out from Sumail. He will BKB dodge the stun, but that forces out a very long duration BKB. The 9-second charge is down, and it's also just on cooldown as well, which means MMY is left alone, trapped deep behind the Radiant line, but there's no backup as of yet until Xiaowei comes in too late. They've lost MMY, and Fear's gotten onto Xiaowei, muscling his way right through the Clockwork's armor, makes him look rather squishy. Carved them up like a turkey there, he did. EG now gonna push on mid. Guardian Greaves get popped. They still have the BKB Black Hole. There is a buyback on Silencer, but with no Clockwork and no hook shot, this may be cue for EG to start threatening even the tier 3 tower.
They've got the Guardian Greaves up. I mean, LGD, they still have the global silence, so he can just wait out AUI's BKB, but at the same time, AUI can just not pop it. He can just wait and say, okay, are you really just not going to use the global the entire fight? They'll take that trade at this phase of the game.
Another tower dropping here. EG starting to extend their map control and along with it their lead, and now they pick up a BKB on Sumail, making him much more durable in these fights. Probably doesn't even need the Grave in most cases to stay alive at this point. Still the physical damage for LGD not quite there. Sylar hasn't purchased his next component, up to 3,500 gold, and EG going for the last outer tower this game, but LGD want to contest it. Yao, he's been revealed and they initiate onto AUI 2000. PPD's there. Where's that global? They pop it now. PPD not able to save his Enigma. They've lost 2 off the bat, and a pause will come out from MMY as the fight's basically over at this point, it looks like. There is a little bit of mana on the Storm, but not really enough to chase.
They did use the Earthshaker Echo Slam and the Call Down plus the BKB with the Global Silence. You get 2 heroes there. It is a good trade for them. They're probably going to just deny the tower and back out, but at the same time, it's not like you lost Sumail or Fear.
Yeah, you lose your Enigma here. It's really a 4-position support that's kind of become a core, and you lose the Tusk, who's probably more of the actual 4-position for Universe at this stage, more just there for the sigil and utility play. And Blitz, game's going to have a moment here for the teams to collect their thoughts, so let's kind of walk through this team by team here as we've got a lot of excited fans behind us. Let's start with LGD. The position LGD's in now, how do you approach the game?
I think if you're LGD, all you have to do is continue to play this type of passive-aggressive style. Let EG push into you at this point, because it's incredibly hard for them to start a fight. If they don't know where the Enigma is, he walks in with the BKB Black Hole, and you've already used the Global Silence, it's so hard for you to take the fight.
And you've probably already used your hook shot as well, because it's normally